Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, Disney Star Wars simply cannot help themselves, boys and girls, because a series that a couple of people are actually kind of cautiously optimistic about, that would be none other than Skelton Crew, which is a show that Disney Star Wars themselves said was intentionally aimed at children. Well, they just can't help themselves but force their agenda right down the throats of children, boys and girls, because although the first two episodes are being very well received, well, of course, the third episode with some general wonderful leaks and some spoilers from our none other than Film Threat's very own Chris Gore, who has seen the first three episodes, tells us, yes, it's going to be full-blown agenda. So if you don't want any spoilers for the future of Skelton Crew, make sure you smash that like button, leave us a comment down below, letting us know that you are actually enjoying the series out there before we completely and totally ruin any chance of this Star Wars series actually succeeding going forward. Done? Okay, great, boys and girls, because in the third episode, they're going to introduce more of their identity politics nonsense, and that's exactly what we've got to talk about here today. Because as you can see over here from our dear sweet friends over at fandompulse.substack.com, Film Threats Chris Gore spoils Star Wars Skelton Crew goes full woke in episode 3 with LGBTQ plus propaganda. Oh yes, color us shocked, boys and girls, even in an era where Disney Star Wars knows, or well, Disney knows, maybe not Disney Star Wars knows, Disney knows that gay doesn't sell. It looks like even Disney has no faith in the Star Wars brand to succeed in any way, shape, or form, because unlike what they did with Pixar's Inside Out 2, which we heard from the fired Pixar employees, that Disney flat out said that cut all of the gay out, they're not going to allow it. Now they absolutely believe that that is what ruined Lightyear and caused it to turn into a disastrous dumpster fire. And even though we've heard the stories about Marvel deciding to fire all of its activist producers out there and clean house and actually get back to telling good quality hero stories, well, guess what? One place that there has actually been no signs of hope whatsoever, adding one more nail into the coffin of the already dead franchise that Disney has killed, Star Wars is, of course, is going to double down on the agenda in their latest series, boys and girls, and should come as no shock to anybody out there. So we're going to check out this article. We're going to get all of the juicy details and see exactly what Chris Gore has revealed and exactly how they're pushing their propaganda agenda into this children's show. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. By the time you get to the end of this article and find out exactly what they're doing, does this surprise you in any way, shape, or form? Were you actually holding out hope that this Skeleton Show series might actually be good, or at least something enough to be digestible for a Star Wars fan to actually be able to enjoy it? Is this going to completely and totally turn you off from the series and make it to where you have no desire to watch any of it going forward? Let us know what you think about all that in the comments section down below. And if you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. So from our dear sweet friends over at fandompulse.substack, Star Wars Skelton Crew is billed as a show for children, but Disney Lucasfilm can't help itself in inserting woke identity politics. Now popular film reviewer Chris Gore has revealed that in episode 3, one of the children's parents is revealed to have two moms in another push of the LGBTQ plus alphabet soup mafia agenda in kids programming. Yes, color us shocked there, boys and girls. And God forbid it be two men, it be two fathers, because of course that would actually be portraying men in a positive light, saying that they can do it without women. But oh no, they choose for it to be two moms because they once again want to show that strong, independent women don't need no man and they can raise a fully functional child without any problems, even though there's a million signs of statistics saying the exact opposite. But of course, reality doesn't matter in Disney Star Wars, and their propaganda to the cult now does it. Disney has done more to destroy Star Wars brand this year than anyone could have thought possible. With the release of Star Wars The Acolyte, the company pushed insane identity politics under the helm of showrunner Leslie Headland, a former Harvey Weinstein assistant, his former personal assistant. The result was The Acolyte garnering some of the worst ratings and reviews in Star Wars history. Yeah, I mean, it literally had worse ratings on Rotten Tomatoes at one point than the Star Wars holiday special, boys and girls. Yeah, that disastrous dumpster fire, The Acolyte, was worse than that. Instead of reflecting on the situations and learning this type of content does not appeal to fans, Disney lashed out, accusing fans of harassment and review bombing. Let's be specific about that. That's Disney Star Wars. The show's star, Amanda Steinberg, famously riled up fans by making a music video called Discourse, where she swore at critics of the show while doing a dance, which I won't make any of you suffer through that again. Oh my God, that was absolutely abysmally bad and so cringe. Now, Disney released a new show in the Star Wars Skelton Crew. This show is intentionally aimed at children with a premise of a coming-age story of misfit youth who happen upon a starship, get lost in space. It should be a story of camaraderie and fun, but instead Disney has taken the opportunity to go woke once again and push a grooming agenda on children. The first 2 episodes were released on Disney Plus yesterday, and the plotline seemed innocuous, other than the obvious standard Hollywood casting, a black boy, an interracial girl, a strong female white girl with no white males among the heroes. It's appeared as if Disney would be focusing on action and adventure like Star Wars fans wanted, rather than pushing a heavy agenda as they did in The Acolyte. Well, and of course, they're not going to put it in part of the marketing. They're not going to put it all out there in the kind of nonsense of like the whole, oh, I don't know, yes, I thought Star Wars has always been gay, and oh, yes, The Acolyte's going to be the gayest Star Wars ever, and yada, 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 yada. Well, they know they can't get away with that kind of marketing, but of course, this thing was already in the can. This thing was already done. It was already shot. It was already finished. And at this point, Star Wars' Kathleen Kennedy over there ain't going to allow any of this stuff to be changed. That woman will destroy that entire studio and burn it down to the ground, all for the sake of her own ego and thinking that she is right and smarter than better and faster than anyone else out there. At least it sounds like there's some common sense left in Pixar and Marvel, but there is zero left in Disney Star Wars, and that lays solely at the feet of Kathleen Kennedy, that absolute beta male soy boy bitch, Dave Filoni, and everybody else involved over there. You guys have killed Star Wars, and guess what? It's all your fault, and it's exactly what you deserve. And guess what? Skelton Crew is the latest example that you cannot prioritize good storytelling over your personal agenda in any way, shape, or form. And now we've got the proof of it. Film Vet's Chris Gore, who saw an advanced screening of episode 3, says it gets far worse. He posted X. I agree. Skelton Crew is a fun and solid Star Wars show for kids. In episode 3, you'll meet the parents and learn one character has 2 moms, because of course she does. They just can't help themselves. Modern messaging must be inserted no matter what. I'd have preferred they kept the parents out of it altogether, and I think that honestly makes complete and total sense about all of this kind of nonsense. And we have seen they've done this time and time again, inserting this kind of messaging. Even if it's not actually supposed to be forefront and part of it, they just can't help themselves but slip it in, much like they want to do to your children, which is absolutely gross and disturbing, and it's why they insert this kind of strange, overly sexualized content, making kids question things about how the reality of the world actually works. And no, the normal way a mom and a dad work out and produce children. But oh no, we can't have that. Even in a kid's show, it's all about the agenda. Critics have also noted that the little girl Fern, played by Ryan Kiera Armstrong, has a lot of girl boss tendencies in the first couple of the episodes. Of course she does. She derides the boys for being boys constantly, and the boys can do little to fight back over, then act haphazardly. Fern and her female friends, KB, are shown as highly competent, smarter, and more adept than the boys at every turn. Oh yes, color us shocked there. The girls are the bestest thing ever. Once again, Kathleen Kennedy trying to turn Star Wars into a girls brand, no matter how many of the tens of billions of dollars she has cost Disney Star Wars. They continue to go forward down this path. By all means, it's your money, Bob Iger. Burn it all you want. But the fact that this insanity has been allowed to continue inside of Star Wars, where it's been mostly, from the most part, from what we've heard about all the rumor mill, has been completely and totally purged from the rest of the company. And that's why this all lines up with what Chris Gore said. Marvel probably will end up turning itself around. Pixar will probably end up turning itself around because they fired all the activists. But Disney Star Wars? Oh, no. There is no hope for that. And this latest leak from the Skelton Crew episode 3 is exactly what confirms that. They will never, ever give up their identity politics over there at Disney Star Wars, which is why this is a dead brand, boys and girls, because they will always concentrate on immutable characteristics over good quality content. Hands down, not even close. While the show had promise in the first 2 episodes with a plotline that actually felt like Star Wars for once, the revelation of having lesbian parents involved for one of the children comes as a shock. Even Star Wars Theory, who has been one of the most vocal critics of the brand in recent years, liked the opening, saying, Skelton Crew reminded me myself as a kid to a T. I dreamt of finding a spaceship to get lost in a distant galaxy and navigate the stars. I think a lot of us can relate to that. Hell, I'm still dreaming of that to this day. Come on, Elon! Dream of becoming a Jedi someday. Endless invisible lightsaber fights with my dad and friend. Pressure of school, being an outcast, feeling misunderstood, and overall just trying to navigate being a young boy with an appetite for adventure and something more. So far, it's Jumanji, Goonies, Zathra, and Harry Potter in a Star Wars universe. No complaints, nostalgic as fuck, and made me remember being that age. Fun. But as we all know, theory, just like the majority of the rest of the Star Wars fans out there that aren't paid shills by the Disney Corporation out there have understood, this is always a bait and switch. The first two episodes, they release them at the exact same time. Everybody gets excited, everybody gets hyped, and then of course, they slip it into you in the third episode out there. And I cannot wait to see Theory's reaction to this, whether or not he's going to make a big deal out of this or just go, oh my God, here we go again. We know what this kind of stuff always ends up entailing. It shows that Disney is now trying to layer in wokeism in an insidious manner to lure people into disordered lifestyles and groom children into fetishes. As parents and viewers, we have to be more than vigilant than ever because they've learned not to lecture as overtly, but instead are trying to psychologically manipulate the audience. And that's what we've always feared too, right? We've heard all the talk about we're getting away from the agenda. We've heard about all of these activist producers being fired. And at the end of the day, most of the time, my biggest worry is whether or not they're actually going to be able to create a good quality story anymore. But at the exact same time, this is one of those things. We never heard about a purge over there at Disney Star Wars. We didn't see a bunch of people getting fired. We didn't see Kathleen Kennedy leaving. We don't see Dave Filoni leaving. We don't see any of these people leaving, right? They're all still there and they're all in charge. So why would we think anything else is going to change over there at Disney Star Wars? And it won't. Is Marvel might potentially get better? Yes, it might. Are they still going to try to slip this agenda-driven nonsense in? Yes, probably, absolutely. And that's what we always have to keep a good eye on. We need to be good watchers on the wall. We need to be good stewards of our entertainment and of our culture as our good Lord in heaven has given us the ability and given us the task of doing so, boys and girls. And that is what we have failed on over the last few years. So we have to be hyper vigilant. Is the whole two moms thing going to be a big deal to some average people out there? Maybe, maybe not. But at the end of the day, it's just another sign that they will try to drive this agenda in any way they possibly can. And of course, Disney Star Wars is doing it in a children's television show, boys and girls. But that's okay, because we know how this is going to end. This is going to end up as the exact same disastrous dumpster fire that the Acolyte ended up in, that the Obi-Wan series ended up in, that the Book of Boba Fett ended up in. All of the exact same kind of nonsense. We're getting the exact same kind of story with a bunch of girl bosses out there talking down to the boys, them being the bestest everything. They'll end up being the key to everything. And of course, we saw the exact same thing happen with the Boba Fett series and all the other kind of stuff. We saw that happen with the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, where he was literally dragged around by Princess Leia, who apparently, as like a 4-year-old girl, is able to be outsmart and outrun all of these other people because he's the bestest thing ever. And it's the exact same kind of nonsense for everything else. So even if the whole two mommies thing doesn't bug you all that much, the fact that they continue and over and overtly degrade anyone who is a male, makes all of the girls look like girl bosses, makes them the bestest and smartest thing ever. Even if you don't have a problem with any of that from an agenda standpoint, it is boring, dry, and old and tired, worn out storytelling that the majority of the audiences are completely and totally sick of, which is why you continue to see Star Wars television show after Star Wars television show premiere on Disney Plus, and the ratings only continue to drop and get worse and worse. We saw it happen with almost every single Disney Star Wars show that has come out, boys and girls. They continue to get worse and worse, and it's not going to be any different out there with Star Wars Skelton Crew. This show will turn into a disastrous dumpster fire, and anybody that's currently praising it right now, as soon as that episode 3 drops, they watch it for themselves. We are going to see the tide change once again. And guess what? Even if the tide doesn't change all that much, it's because no one is watching Disney Star Wars anymore. It is a dead brand. Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger, and Dave Filoni have killed it. And guess what? Skelton Crew is going to blow up in their faces just like the Acolyte and everything else. And you did it to yourselves, Kathleen Kennedy, and it's exactly what you deserve. Burn, Disney Star Wars. Burn. You did it to yourself.